A brilliant man, Andrew Brilliant, an aerodynamicist who's based in Japan but goes all over the world for sports cars, IndyCar, and Formula One. And Formula One, those sleek missiles that go through the air, aero is the most important thing you can have.
Porpoising will bust out Freak Nation, and you'll never look at the dolphins the same. Now,
this is very oversimplified, but here's what happened in a nutshell. The fans of F1 said the racing was boring. There was no passing, and they had to do something about it. Turbulence off of one car kept the trailing car behind. So all the brilliant minds at F1 got behind a closed door and wrote new rules that took effect this year. They made the racing more exciting. The cars were passing and repassing each other, but the cars were almost impossible to drive. The issue was something called porpoising. The cars were bouncing up and down in the rear end. Some of the teams are solving the problems, but one that isn't is Mercedes. It made some major changes in its chassis, especially the bits affecting the aerodynamics. Their changes were not compatible with the changes the officials wanted for the new car. Mercedes has all but admitted it's lost. Now you want to understand the problem better? Run some water over the vertical wall of your sink. It sounds crazy, but do it. Get a spoon. Hold it close to the running water. It'll be drawn to the wall of the sink by the pressure change in the flow of the water. If you hold the spoon loose enough, it'll bounce against the wall of the sink. Hear that clicking? That's porpoising.
That is what's going on. There's a distance where it chokes off and the flow separates, and then it releases the pressure drawing it together. That's the same. The big difference is that the car, in our case, had a suspension holding it from the ground, and so it becomes an interaction between suspension and the aero, causing that bouncing. But aerodynamically, yes.
Andrew Brilliant is Director of AMB Aero and an aero consultant for racing programs, including clients in F1. He won't reveal who, and I didn't push. I really didn't care. I wanted to know the problem, not his business. So let's look at Mercedes. They made changes in their car overall. What were they?
What they were trying to do, in my opinion, was, well, firstly, reduce drag, because you've just got less area of the car. It's just, you made it smaller, you made it more streamlined. You look at the body of an airplane, and that's about what it looks like. A Cessna will be only just about yay big, and it's just like a fish, right?
That's right. Exactly. How do you solve this in the real world of different tracks, different weather, when things change?
To me, a solution is the aerodynamic solution, where you modify the shapes of the air to make them, we call, less sensitive. So that means that there's a curve of ride height versus downforce, right? You get lower and lower and lower as more downforce, right? You see how low a NASCAR runs on the oval. They try to run really, really low because it's low drag, it's higher downforce, right? Same thing. And everyone wants to be as low as they can. But if you get close to that porpoising ride height too close, you might hit a bump on the track, and then all of a sudden it starts your porpoising. So a mitigation will be to increase the stiffness of the suspension, or to try and lock the car out of getting that low. And I think that's what you'll see that they're fighting now.
So in my simple mind, I said, why don't they go back to last year's car? But that's against the rules, obviously. And testing is limited. You can't even go into wind tunnels too often. That's the new rules in F1 to save costs. So what do they do now?
It's now an underbody focused thing, what they did that because it leaves less of a dirty weight behind, and it's really improved the racing. It's allowed cars to run really close to each other and still be able to pass, where they used to be in a dirty air that sabotaged the performance of the car behind. So that once you got within 2 seconds, the cars would slow down so much it was really difficult to get past anyone. So that's what they were trying to resolve. And those have all been very positive things. So in general, I think everyone knows this is the future, this is the way to go, but they're dealing with the challenges of resolving the undoing puzzle. I mean, if any team could do it right, you'd have to believe that nobody wins 7 world championships because you don't have smart people and hardworking people and good tools. So look, if anyone had the ability to turn around, I mean, you look at last season too. I mean, Lewis had a major comeback towards late in the season, and the car was seriously dominant late in the season. I mean, there was a large performance delta between them and the rest of the field for the last races of the year.
So what about America's F1, America's open wheel racing IndyCar? Are we ever going to have that problem in that series?
I don't think so, because first of all, we've had so many years with tunnels in IndyCars that any kind of major issues like this, I think, got resolved quite early on, decades ago.